Hi guys, this is Gareth Steenson, and this is the final whistle.
Hello and welcome back to the Final Whistle, brought to you by the Rugby Connection podcast. Well, if you've watched this show long enough, you know I'm a die-hard Exeter Chiefs fan, so our next guest is very special, arguably the greatest Exeter Chief of all time. He was there in the promotion days, he stayed loyal, won 2 premierships, won the Champions Cup, and he's still coaching down at Sandy Park today. It's the one, the only, Gareth Steenson. Gareth, thank you so much for coming on. How are you getting on?
Yeah, good, not too bad. Thanks for having me. Yeah, quite the intro there. I didn't realise how big a fan you were of the club. So yeah, really excited to be on the show and have a chat with you.
The whole Exeter Chiefs supporting thing kind of happened by accident, but you've been there the whole time, and
Right.
yeah, I've stuck with it, so it's all good.
How long ago was this? When did you start getting in following them? I'm interviewing you now.
Championship days, yeah.
Right, so that is proper back in the day.
Yeah, so always been an Edinburgh fan, like first and foremost. And then when I started watching more rugby, I was like, I kind of need an English team.
Yeah, to be fair, I was always thinking to myself, if I'd like one club to play, I wouldn't have minded Edinburgh because it was a lovely city. My wife went to university in Dundee, so I was always quite used to flying up and heading up the road up to Dundee. But we'd always have to fly into Edinburgh or Glasgow, and always like flying into Edinburgh because that was always quite a nice city.
Yeah, Edinburgh's always better. But yeah, got into more rugby and was like, I need an English team to kind of follow because obviously the Premiership and all that. Went on to Sky Sports, and at the time, I think it was the Green King IPA champion or whatever it was called back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so happened that Exeter Chiefs were playing. I really liked how you were playing, and that was it.
Ever since then. Quite the journey.
Yeah, quite the journey. Yeah. First question that we've got for you, we've asked all our guests this just to get the ball rolling a little bit. What actually got you into rugby in the first place?
I remember my very, very first game of rugby. So I'm from a soccer background. And I was brought along, I was P5, so that would have been P5. I was probably about 8 years of age, and I was asked to go along to my junior rugby club, which was Armagh Rugby Club at the time. And I remember being brought along and playing and being told that you have to be a forward or a back. At that stage, back in those days, it wasn't the same. Obviously, you were a forward or a back. There's like kids nowadays. My kids are the similar age to what I was when they started, and they don't have positions. But I remember going, well, I'm a footballer and I score goals, so I'm up front, so I'm a forward. And they quickly looked at me and went, nope, you're definitely not a forward. And I remember being very annoyed about that. So that was my first experience, would have been about 8 years of age, down at my junior rugby club at Armagh Rugby Club back in Northern Ireland.
Love that. That's cool. To be fair, I get where you're coming from, because in football you are forward.
You score the goals, don't you?
Yeah, and if you're a defender, you're back.
It probably paid into what happened to me later down the line. That's why I ended up being a kicker.
I mean, it worked well. It definitely worked well. Obviously, you are from Ireland. What I think a lot of people want to know this. What actually led you to moving to Exeter and then obviously becoming a Chiefs legend down there?
So I was wanting to get into the Ulster setup at the time, and I came through the Ulster Academy once I left school. Did a couple of years there, and I got selected to play for Irish. Well, I did Ireland schools, Ireland 19s it was then, and 19 and Ireland under 21. So I literally went 4 years of playing internationally underage stuff. I ended up going to 2 World Cups and captained the Irish team in the second year. And I was always trying to just get a contract with Ulster, and at the time David Humphreys was still playing. And I was basically sat down and told that there wasn't an opportunity for me at this stage. I was 20, I think it was 22 years of age. So I've been in the academy for 4 years, wasn't getting a chance. And there was a coach who had moved across he left Belfast Harlequins and left and went to Rotherham, who'd always wanted me to join Belfast Harlequins, and I was always told to stay away from him. So I just took a leap of faith, went over to Rotherham, ended up playing a year in the championship while working in the community section. And Yeah, I did a year there. We ended up coming. I think we were 4 points off winning promotion, and I was at the time trying to get back. I remember I'm still trying to get that phone call to come home. Never got it, so I ended up going to Cornwall. Cornish Pirates was a club that came up. I didn't have an opportunity to go to a Premiership club. Didn't have an opportunity to go to, it was the Celtic League then. So it was like, right, do I take another opportunity to go down to Cornwall, give it a go at pro rugby, full time contract, where we go. So I went from one extreme at Rotherham to a different extreme right down at the in Cornish Pirates, and that was quite a tough year because that was the year my father passed away whenever I was down in Cornwall. So it became a bit of a right. Do you start thinking about moving home, being closer to family, stuff like that? Almost giving up on the idea of playing rugby, and that's when Chiefs came in. Chiefs came in. I think I had one good game. Well, the last game my father ever heard me play was against the Chiefs for the Cornish Pirates, and it was the last game that the Cornish Pirates ever beat the Chiefs in a competitive fixture. So I was quite pleased with that. I was on a Sunday, and he passed away that Thursday. So I was flying back and forth. The Cornish Pirates were brilliant for me because they were just looked after me really well at that time, and I'm very thankful for that club. And then I just had a chance to go. The big attraction really for Chiefs was there was an airport close by, and I could get back and forth really quickly to Northern Ireland. And that was a big selling point. Obviously, when I first came here, you could see that the club had aspirations to move forward, so that helped. But at the time, that's kind of what the big selling point for me was. And yeah, that's how I ended up at Chiefs, I suppose.
I love that, and I love that it's like kept the family close. It's almost very eerie though that your dad's last game you played against
Yeah,
Chiefs and it was
it,
the Pirates like last.
I think.
That's very close to home, that one.
Yeah, that to me that is one thing. He never, and he did at that stage. We were told he had three weeks to live.
Mm.
And I would play the games, fly back. So I'd literally, that's why the club are amazing. I would rock in the day before a game, play the match, and then jump in the plane after the match and go home for 4 or 5 days. And they were
Right.
brilliant because we knew we were at that stage. And he always said to me, I was like, "Do you really want me to go?" And he's like, "I love just sitting listening to it on the radio." So that's why I was doing it. And I remember after the Pirates game, or sorry, after the Chiefs game, that we knew that was the last time I'd do it.
Mm.
So I pretty much once he passed away, I was back at Pirates within 10 days. It was kind of like back into it. And it was a difficult year for obvious reasons, being away from home, and Exeter just felt closer.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
again, I was still trying to get back to Belfast. I was still trying to get back to Ulster, and at that point, it never happened. And you know, for me, it ended up being the right move.
I mean, as a Chiefs fan, I could say you've made the right move there. I was going
Yeah.
to ask her, when did the it stop? When did you stop trying to pursue Ulster?
Um, it kind of once you got here, it just felt like So even in the first year, we were hopefully getting promotion. We didn't. And then we put a group together, and the group looked like it had. That was the year. Kind of the second year I was here, it really kind of felt that there was a real
Mm.
realization. This is the time to really go after it. And then whenever we got promoted, it was kind of like, well, I've been involved with this journey, and I don't really want to get off the journey. And I'm kind of like, this is all brand new. None of us had experienced any of it, like coaching staff, the whole load of us. It was all new. The players that were in there, most of them were all blokes who'd been told they weren't good enough somewhere else. So it was kind of like that attitude around them. We were going to just, prove people wrong all the time. And it was a lovely place to be at because we were losing every game, is what everybody said. You're getting relegated every game. So go and enjoy it, boys, and be better
Yeah.
for it. And I think at the time it was very refreshing to be in around it. Because it wasn't a massive pressure on us. But we had a game plan that worked. We had a group that understood it, and we knew our limitations, and we knew what we had to do to survive. And that's all we were talking about was we weren't. You could talk about survival, and it could put a lot of pressure on you, but we talked about we'll do better next week for it, and let's be enjoying the moment because we hadn't been there before. Now, obviously, it gets the more you're in it, the more you're looking to achieve things as it grew. But at that very time, that's what it was about. And for me, it just seemed right to always be there. And don't get me wrong, I would love to have had opportunity to represent my country.
Mm.
And those opportunities never really came from me because I was playing in in England. That was as simple as that. Like, I do know that at the time, it's not it's not a rule, but it is kind of an unwritten rule. And it was kind of like, well, I'm kind of really enjoying my rugby here. And the opportunities never really arose. So I'm just joining the ride of the Chiefs.
Fair. Well, I mean, it's their loss, isn't it? I was about to ask.
Depends.
Depends who you ask. I was going to
You can
ask.
see I'm
Was
still
there...
got a Northern. You can still got a Northern Ireland Cup. Like,
That's fine. There you go. See, you're still proud of Northern Irishman. There you go.
yeah.
I was going to ask, was there any conversations about like moving back to Ireland to get capped, or was there even any discussions about potential? I know it sounds quite bad to say it, but like getting capped by England because of like residency. Was that ever in discussion?
So I was always English qualified, so that was always, but that's always a useful tool for any player who's playing in England or in the Premiership. So that's obviously a useful tool. It did happen. I had a conversation right at the end of my career. There was a year after we won the Premiership. I was in negotiation with contracts, and that was the opportunity. It was the time that actually the club that I was desperate for did come in and asked me, would I be interested to come back? The conversations around, if I come back, there's a very high chance you'll go to the Rugby World Cup as potentially in the top three. But I was in my testimonial season with the Chiefs, and it, family times at the where the family was situated, and it was very, very tempting at the time. But ultimately, I still didn't see the journey had ended here, and I know we'd just won the Premiership, but it felt like the next step was, how can we go in the Heineken Cup now? How can we go and defend a title? And it was kind of like, do I walk away from that in pursuit of potentially getting one or two caps? So that was our decision around things. So, at that very moment in time, it just felt like we'd built a lot, we'd built a life. My kids were at a certain age. And it was just a timing in life was that time. And it was just, that's where it was.
Totally understandable. And I love how your mindset went, well, do I get one or two caps, or do we chase this Heineken Cup? I love how you operate on that. What's been the biggest difference for you? Because obviously you've been right through for Exeter Chiefs. You're now coaching there. What's the difference between playing for Exeter Chiefs and coaching at Exeter?
I suppose, like, when you're in playing, you're obviously in amongst the lads, and the drive's the same. Like, everyone wants to achieve things. That's the biggest thing, and everybody wants to succeed in here. At the minute, we had a lot of lads after we won the Heineken Cup. That's when I moved in, and for me, it was obviously I've got to take stock of what I was right at the top, and I was playing, and I was in the 23 won the Heineken Cup, and then next thing I've got to now try to get my mindset around that sort of mentoring and coaching role. Sort of, I was kind of getting there anyway because I wasn't starting. So for the last 2 years of my career, I was kind of in behind Joe Simmons. So I was kind of trying to get the best out of him, knowing that deep down the line, hopefully I could help him or Harvey Skinner, these guys who are coming through, Henry Slade to an extent. Still trying to impart my knowledge on them. And I think the biggest thing in here is the place wants to keep continuing to move forward, even though at the minute we've probably had a lot of new faces that have come in, especially this season. And you want the place to keep moving in the right direction. It's the old classic. I think the All Blacks always said, leave the jersey in a better place. So that's kind of the same mentality here that I've kind of tried to. I'd love to see someone come in here and take the reins, and just run with it and enjoy it, because it's given me such a joy to be involved with the rugby club. And I know what it's like to be in the room, and now I know what it's like to be in the coach's room and see the other side. So I've been quite fortunate to see both sides.
So has the relationship with Rob Baxter changed at all, or has it always been the same?
No, it's like, again, when I came in here, I suppose, Rob was the forwards coach. He wasn't the head coach at the time. So I've seen the growth of everybody. And we've always kind of, the good thing is because a lot of us have been here for as long as we have, you kind of, you understand the system, you understand how it rolls. Obviously, it's had to. I hear a few more things, and I was like, "Is that the way you actually talk about? Did you talk about me like that?" So it's insightful, But obviously, Rob's running a big ship here, and it's about getting the best out of everybody around us, and that's the best thing about everything. Giving us opportunities to flourish in the areas to hopefully drive the club in a positive direction.
I think we're going. I think we're doing it.
Yeah,
Well,
so far it's been.
I'm not just saying
It's
that, but I do feel like because a lot of people, obviously, like you said, a lot of new faces came in at the start of the season. So like even people were asking me if I'm worried. I'm like, no, because like if it's a younger group, if you keep them together, chances are a lot of them won't go away to international camps because they've not got the experience. So then they're getting that weekly run out, and that'll make them better long term. Yeah, see, and
yeah, no, exactly. So
I've
we like,
jinked Thea Boboso and Henry Slade and all that's away. So the kind of
yeah. Well, it's
past up.
good, especially Slady as an example. If you take him, obviously getting himself back in, he had a massive disappointment with the Rugby World Cup, but the way he responded to it, I think for Henry as well, it's always going to be a difficult year anyway because a lot of his mates, as
Yeah,
such, his year group, all left, and then have that disappointment. But the way he's run with it and the way he's actually taken it on board and got himself back into the England squad is, no easy feat by any stretch of the imagination. It shows you the character of the man. And when he walks around here, he has that kind of like, he's finally got that real sort of leadership sort of qualities now, and people look up to him, and it's brilliant to see for him. And I know he's loving his rugby at the minute, and it's great. Even though I haven't seen him for a few weeks, but he's definitely stepped up to the plate, and he's playing well for England as well. So I'm sure he's leading in that group too.
wouldn't surprise me to be honest. Who's the
Yeah.
next? Who's the next like big name to come out that hasn't really had the attention yet? If you could name one.
That's it. I would be wrong to me to say one in particular. There's a lot of talented boys. I'll put my diplomatic hat on there. There's a lot of talented boys coming through. You are seeing a lot of them. And Manny Favosa is obviously, doing unbelievably well. But if you take him as an example, him studying to be a doctor, my wife's a doctor, so like I understand how hard that is, and for him to be doing both is just incredible, and it just shows you the work ethic that we have amongst the group, and hopefully we'll support him as much as we can. But yeah, there's blokes coming through. Watch this space, I'd say.
I love that. I love that. I'll be definitely tuning in every week. I mean, I already tune in every week anyway, but I'm definitely be like, right.
You have to keep watching.
Who
you can come back. You could come back to me in a year's time or whatever and tell me who you think.
That's fine. I'll take that. I've got a few in my mind now, but we'll see. I'll tell you after we've done recording.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to go back to your point, Chris, just briefly. Is there any scrum half you wished you would have got the chance to play with, or even like modern day scrum halves? Is there anyone you would have liked to link up with?
I don't really. I was quite fortunate. I had some really good names. If I think back, like even Hayden Thomas, when we won the championship, was perfect for that timing. The way we played. Will Chudley was another who came in, and just the way he played the game and his thought processes around it. Jack Maunder, I could name a load. Like Nick White, I really, really enjoyed playing with Nick White on the basis that Whitey was the same sort of character to me. In other words, we wouldn't have had a problem having a full-on scrap on the pitch. Not a problem. We'd have shouted, we'd have roared at each other, we'd have swore at each other, whatever it was, because we were competitive and because we wanted to win. And as soon as that game would end, we would cope because we'd always change beside each other. You just sat down and you had a beer together. Because we had that drive to win. So he was, and this is the thing that I learned from the older I got. I started then playing with different nines. So if I take Jack Maunder as an example, he was great to play with, but I couldn't shout at Jack Monder the way I used to shout at Nick White, and I had to know that. And actually, it's something I've taken into my coaching side, because I've had to realize, yes, everybody has different stress levels, and everybody doesn't like to be. Some people like the big stick, and some people like the arm around them. And that's the good thing about when you play with nines. I was kind of, I'd have been quite, not hot headed, but I'd have been quite emotional about things. And if people didn't get things right, I would have been very quick to go on them. And Whitey, I knew I could go to quite an extensive level with Nick White. But I knew there's some others. I was like, oh, I have to, it's all right. Come on, you'll be fine. But off the top of my head, look, I was quite fortunate, like, to play with those blokes. I never really sat down and go, I'd love to play with that guy.
Oh, that's fair. To be fair, I'm glad you mentioned Nick, because he is a friend of the show. We've been
is he?
We've had Nick on, and I completely agree.
The best mustache in world rugby.
Best mustache. He is very driven.
Yes,
and
I still keep in touch with Whitey now. It's quite nice, because I like to pick up the odd call with them and just see, right, what are you doing in Australia? What are you doing with such and such in terms of their game? So we are still leaning on each other, and I was hoping to see a few more things happen with the Australia team when he's playing the World Cup, but they obviously didn't go that well. So I'll not say it was anything to do with the Chiefs then.
No, I don't think that was down to the Chiefs mentality. That, but no, Nick's doing great. Very mentally driven. Praised you a lot. Praised the whole setup, like you've been saying as well. And I think once, I've not even been a player at Exeter Chiefs, but I feel like once you're there, like, you're instantly embedded in life. You know how it works, and even if you move away, it stays with you.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that from talking to Nick and yourself, and Don Armand as well.
Yes, yeah. Well, Don's not far from here now, and obviously Nick's on the other side of the world. But I like to think, like, Whitey, from speaking to Whitey, he tries to still have the same sort of values that he had here. Like, Whitey was a great bloke for this club. And it was just a bit disappointing that he never got the opportunity because of playing in finals, and he never got the chance to actually lift the trophy. Even though he was part of the group that won the Heineken Cup, albeit he was gone and COVID had happened and he was away with Australia, but he was still part of that team. And that would have been great to be able to celebrate that with him. And the same with Don. Don was another guy who came in, added a lot to the group, was a real good sure head, part of the leadership group, and bought into everything we were trying to do. And it was a great bloke to have in around the squad, and a great bloke just to be able to share time with.
I love that. So I'm going to put you on the spot now. You could say yourself, if we want to play it safe, in your opinion, who is the greatest import for Exeter Chiefs?
I wouldn't say me. I would go with, there's a couple that I could literally go. So in my head, the best player I ever played with, because that's the old classic one, was a guy called Sorelli Nakalavuki. So he was one of the greatest rugby players I've ever played with. The best import, Dean Mumm would be up there, I think. Dean Mumm, as a bloke coming in now, Jeff Parling came in and had a massive influence in the club. But I don't know if you're going to call him an import. So I'll go with Dean Mumm. At the time, was a massive name for us. And I remember the excitement about Dean Mumm arriving. And as a bloke who came in, who looked like his Australia career was kind of done, came in and led the club, did loads of different things, was great around the boys, great around leadership and stuff, and somebody to learn off. And for him to go back and basically he played in the World Cup final after being with the Chiefs. He was a great fella to have in there. And I could rhyme loads off to you. I could rhyme Dave Dennis. I could start throwing Nick White. I could throw names at you. But Jason Schumark, again, just our first year in the Premiership. Boys who left, lasting legacies. Thomas Waldrum. We had some boys who came in and imprinted on the squad. So if you have to put me on the spot, I'll say Dean.
That's fine. I'll take that as a very good choice. They're all good choices, though. There's no wrong answer.
Yeah. I'd have been all right with a few there, but I hope I got the names in there.
You definitely got the names in there. We'll let the comments decide on who their favourite is. I would definitely have you in the mix. I know you've said you wouldn't pick yourself, but yeah, I would definitely have.
Well, that's
Although
quite
I
nice to hear.
don't know if we can count you as an import, just because you were there, like the whole. Well, you were there my whole Exeter Chiefs journey, so I don't know if I
Well,
can
I
count
didn't
you.
come in. I did come in at some point, but I came in when we were in the championship. So it depends what way you call it import.
From an overall standpoint, yes, you're one of the best imports. But from my Chiefs fan base,
Experience.
you've
I've always
you've
been
always
there.
yeah.
Well,
I'm
then you
still
can't give me as an import then. So
right, that's fine.
I'm just an
That's fine.
old guy still here.
No, and I got to meet you at I think it was during the COVID season, or just as COVID was easing off, like up at Glasgow,
Right.
the very foggy game.
Oh yeah, that one. Mm.
Yeah, managed to
I'm
get a
glad
picture
I
of
didn't get
you.
on. I was glad I didn't get on that. Were you still playing then? Was I still playing? I can't remember now. I don't think I was
Oh,
playing.
don't
I was
think you
there
were.
probably on the sideline. No, it
Yeah,
wouldn't have been
I
playing.
think you were there on the sideline, but I think because it was my first game over at Scotstoun, I got there like stupid early.
Yeah.
Like there was no one there when I arrived, and then I seen the team bus coming. I
I
went
don't think
right,
anybody was there anyway because you couldn't see in the fog.
and I know that game should not have got played, but that's fine.
Mm.
It
I'm
is what
glad
it
it
is.
did because it meant we got to go home that night and I got to fly back to Northern Ireland for the first time in 16 years for Christmas.
Fine.
Because if it hadn't been done, I wasn't going home for Christmas,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, it
I
would have
hadn't
been
been
right
home for
before
16
Christmas.
years. So,
Jeez,
so I was like, please play this game so I can get back and actually go home and be in
yeah,
Northern Ireland for one Christmas.
fair enough. We're glad it happened then. But yeah, I got there really early, seen the team bus coming, and I went, you know what? I'm just going to ask for photos while they're getting all
Yeah.
their kit. I got
Well,
you.
that's the thing. The boys are pretty good like that, So there's no issues there. There's no massive egos running around. I think anyway.
I don't think I can think of any egos that there was, but it's all
If
good.
there is,
You
you
were
don't need
fine.
to tell me.
You were
That's
great.
too. You have to say that anyway.
We've got a couple of fan questions for you.
Okay.
Harry Michael Haynes has asked. He's actually chucked in two questions. The best player you've played against in the Premiership.
Best player in the Premiership. Nick Evans was always somebody whenever I got to play against the Harlequins 10. I always loved playing against Nick. Charlie Hodgson was another really, really talented boy who could run a ship. But I'd say Nick because the way he played the game, and we always seemed to have good battles against him. He was complete opposite to me because he was a running 10, whereas I was that kind of more controlling kicking 10. So we kind of contrast each other. And he's a good bloke, and he's been really quite nice to like even after games. I've always just shared a bit of time with him and stuff. So yeah, I always enjoyed playing against Nick.
Good choice. I like that. And he's also asked. It's a tricky one, so we could open it up. We could do top three, top five if you want. But he's asked, what is your favourite moment as a chief?
Um, I'm going to tell you something that'll probably you'll go. There's no way I'd imagine that's what you thought. It's a moment we lost a game.
Okay.
So I got the opportunity to captain Exeter Chiefs against Ulster Rugby in Belfast.
Right.
And at the time, I remember it was the first time I had loads of family in the crowd watching. It was a Saturday night and we were playing in Belfast. You got to remember, I've come from Ulster and at 18, 19 years of age, this was my dream, was to play on this pitch.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't imagine I'd be playing against them, but my dream was to do that. And I know I've had big kicks and stuff in finals and, championship finals and the Prem final. Don't get me wrong, massive moments. But the only time I've ever had hairs in the back of my neck is when I hit a drop goal with 3 minutes to go to put us in the lead in Belfast against Ulster. When I knew only 5-6 years ago, people used to ask me, "Do you still play rugby?" And I was playing for Exeter Chiefs. And for us to be standing there on a Saturday night, now, fair play, Paddy Jackson went and nailed the drop goal a minute later. And then I had another drop goal, which I hit as sweet as any drop goal I've ever hit from 42 meters, and it just sailed wide. I can tell you, I've been emotional after games before. I went into the changing room and cried after that. and that was just a Heineken Cup game. So in terms of a moment and a feeling, I've never had a feeling like it for about 30 seconds of just sheer euphoria. As I ran back, knowing that we've still got 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But that was just a sheer moment. But obviously winning the championship that night is up there with winning the Premiership, really is, because that, not knowing at the time, but that was what we'd put so much effort into winning that game and so much effort into that season. To then have that great performance that we had in Bristol. And it was a whole team performance. Like, the forwards were unbelievable that night. My job was to kick the goals, and they did their job. So ultimately we got the whole thing. Now, I know I got a lot of the plaudits and I got a lot of the, I kicked X amount of points, but I wasn't putting my head in the scrum, and I wasn't putting my head over the top of the ball to win the ball. So that's the way I was like, I better kick these goals. These boys are going to be pretty annoyed. So that was obviously a big moment. And then the Twickenham winning it in extra time was obviously huge. But I was exhausted during that one, so I was just happy that game ended after 100 minutes in the sun. So there's a few for you.
I love that because no one else would like. I like the very personal moments that our guests have on the show. So obviously, like the redemption arc, almost.
Yeah.
Of you going back to
like,
yeah,
Paddy Jackson ruined it for me, because I was going, I was sitting going, we're going to have a cracking night after this.
And Paddy Jackson ruined it.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
You've got Premiership titles, he doesn't. There you go, bragging rights.
Yeah, maybe he's got Ireland caps. I don't.
Nah, again, it depends on what you look at. Rugby Knows has asked. He's also praised your longevity career during this, but he's asked, is there any practices that you recommend to improve longevity?
I think it's a mindset, and I think it's just looking at longevity. It's probably understanding what your weaknesses are. So I knew I knew always had to keep evolving. So the team would always evolve. So I knew when I first joined the Chiefs, I was a kicking 10 who couldn't tackle, who couldn't pass off his left hand. So I knew straight away I had to do a lot of time on that. I knew that I wasn't the fastest, so I had to spend a lot more. I did a load of extras. I was the only bloke, I think, for the last 4 or 5 years of my career. Well, Rob sat me down because I basically said, look, I'm getting fed up standing. They used to defend me in the blindside wing. And I was like, I'm getting fed up having British and Irish line wingers running at me. Of course, I'm never going to tackle these guys. Like, I've no chance. Stick me back in there. He's like, well, I can't, because you can't guarantee me that you're going to stop anyone. So I went, right, I'll take that as a challenge. And I went and I would practice my tackling every single day, every day. And I did it for the last 4 or 5 years of my career. And I was the only one, and I think Rob still talks about the fact that I was the only one who would come over. We used to have tackling practices, but I would generally drag pads out and I would do it on my own, because I knew if I wanted to play, it didn't matter if I could kick goals from all over the place. I couldn't stop boys running down the channel. It's no point. So as much strength as I had, so I would have worked a lot on my actual game, knowing what my weaknesses were. Now, don't get me wrong, I had to still work massively on what I was perceived as my strengths. Yeah, but I had to definitely get the other bit of my game up. And I got to the point where at the end, I loved defending. Now, that might sound mad, but I would have went into the game. So we used to do a thing after every game where they would hand out some chocolates to the best hit or the biggest hit. So it got to the point where every week I was in with a shout of winning that piece of chocolate. And I used to take more pride in being in that than kicking 10 out of 10 on the weekend. So that's kind of what we were at.
I like that though. I like the mentality thing. I like the constantly trying to improve your game. Bit weird that you prefer the defense though at the end, but
at the end, yes, no, definitely not before. Like, I used to shy away from whenever we used to do defense sessions. So, no, it was something like I look back on, I'm very proud of that fact. Because it's the obvious things about scoring points and kicking goals. That's the obvious thing, but that was something I knew I was not good at, and I had to get my head around the fact that I'm going to put a lot of work into this, and I did, and I've seen the rewards of it, and I was quite proud of that, and I still try to say that to our lads even now. Listen, you need to be practicing, especially our tens. You need to be practicing all types of skills, and you need to have a rounded game, because you could be the most talented player in the world, but if you can't, say if you're in that shape defending, if you can't tackle the guy when he runs at you, so you're conceding 7 points every time, you're conceding gain line, you're going to get killed at our level. So yeah, it was something I was quite proud of at the end.
There you go. That's great advice. Would you say that's the best advice to give as well? Just like focus on the extras and
yeah,
don't just
potentially. But the other thing too, you enjoy it. You know, it's like when everyone kind of. I think now everyone kind of gets caught up in, and I know we get caught up, even as a coaching group and the players, you can get a wee bit down and you can get a wee bit bogged down by pressure or whatever it may be. And people talk about pressure being a privilege, and it is. And we're in a position where it's great to be involved in, and you're in a privileged position, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy what you do. You can't enjoy being with the people that you're with. And I think coming in and having a smile on faces, don't get me wrong, it won't be like that all the time. No matter what you do, whatever career you're in, if you enjoy something, you're going to be good at it. And I think that's the biggest thing about trying to have a positive mindset around things. I think in terms of it gets forgotten. It gets forgotten about. I think whenever Hawani Tui, so if you remember him from the championship era, he was a prop forward. He came from New Zealand. We used to talk about, we had a thing called ACE, which was attitude, commitment. And then we were like, well, we'll go E. And he was like, enjoyment. We're here, lad. Let's enjoy being part of it. Let's enjoy what we're doing. We went out the Saturday, if we lose by 50 points, well, let's be sure we're better for it, but we've just played a premiership game of rugby. Brilliant.
There you go.
Know, so loads of people would love to play one game. So let's not get bogged down in it. But that's easy saying that whenever it's pouring rain and wind's blowing in and you've been beaten by 50 points and you're going like, how are we going to fix this? But sometimes it's hard to smile, but yeah.
Hindsight's a powerful thing, so it is.
Of course it is. And you get older and you sort of learn things too.
Yeah, that as well. We're going to move on to something a bit different now. So we're just going to know Gareth as a person.
Okay.
So, what is your favourite film?
Favorite film? My go-to sort of films. I don't know. You put me on the spot there. I'm a big film buff. I've kind of get into more series and stuff. Suppose I like. It used to be the old Braveheart was always a good one for me. I like the emotion of it all. Let's say Braveheart is an old one. It was something I would have said years ago. So
fair enough. No, it's a good film.
Like that as well.
It's a good film, but and then you start studying history, and then you realise it's.
Oh, we see. No. You're not talking about history here. We're not talking about history.
I know.
You want to say that? Well, there's another thing. I really enjoy putting the Mission Impossibles on. They're always good to watch.
Oh yeah, they're always good.
Yeah,
Tom Cruise,
no matter what.
Constantly,
or Top Gun or whatever.
Yeah, I've still not seen the second one.
You're missing out. You're missing out. I built our under-18 season around Top Gun, so that was good fun.
Oh, please explain.
So we had our under-18s group. It was my first year out of playing, and went into the under-18s group, and we kind of sat down with them and went, right, let's give them a theme. And Top Gun, the second one, hadn't come out at this stage, and none of these kids knew what Top Gun was. Nobody had a clue, because it's an 80s film. Yeah. So we based it on, obviously Top Gun's about they're the best, they're the elite of the elite, but they're trying to become the best. And who's going to be the Top Gun? So we kind of went, guys, you're the elite of the elite, but we're going into this season, we want to be the winners, and who's going to come out the other end? And we based it around the music. Theme tunes are great. So every game we play, we'd try to get the highway to the danger zone or whatever it may be. And after the game, if they win, they get a montage of the game and the movie collab together.
Right.
And we just pushed it along that lines. And at the end, we didn't lose a game. I think we had 5 games and we won every single one with the group that we had. Like, we were winning by 30, 40 points. We were smashing teams. Now we've got about 4 or 5 of the lads are in the first team at the minute. They're all playing, like Zach Wimbush, Will Beckinsale, these boys, Ben Hammersley, they all played, and now they're playing for the first team. But it was good fun because we based it around, Top Gun.
That's quite. I like
The
that.
film I enjoyed, so
Yeah,
we like.
I like that style. I like that style of coaching.
I always enjoyed that as a motivational thing. So,
Yeah.
and plus, Top Gun's a cracking film, and the soundtrack's amazing.
Yeah. Bonus point. I mean, if it was a rubbish.
The analysis guys were great about putting stuff together and stuff. So, but the boys in the field were obviously, they embraced it, and every time we'd always have for each game we'd have a Top Gun. So I'd come in, and for every training session they had to put the aviators on and go out and train in aviators. So
nice. That's class. I like that. I'm a big fan of that style. If there was to be a film about your career, who would you want to play Gareth Steenson?
Well, sure. I've just been talking about Top Gun, haven't I?
Go for Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise. Although I was told when I was a lot younger, before I had this stuff, Leonardo DiCaprio around the time of Titanic, I used to have that sort of long hair. So when he first came through, when I was about 10 or 11, he was like, "Oh, you're the spitting image of that boy in Titanic." So he wouldn't be a bad one to have either,
Big movie budget.
It would have to be a big movie budget, wouldn't
it? Put it in the IMAX. Yeah.
Why not? I don't know about that. Should we get on BBC Northern Ireland would work, or BBC Devon would be fine too?
Well, there you go. That works as well. Favorite style of music, like your music genre, or just favorite film?
I like old sort of music, bit of so I would go easy 90s. That's kind of what I would be listening to all the time. Yeah. The 90s FM, stuff like that.
Nice. Is there one song that had to have been played before a game, or?
It was Van Halen by it was called Dreams.
All right. Fair enough.
So you'll have to Google that and find that out, because I'm not singing it for you.
Oh, that's fine.
But yeah, Dreams was one that was always played on the old music when I would get off the bus and listen to it getting into the game.
I like that.
I always used to listen to, when I'd leave the house before a game. You'd have seen Any Given Sunday, Al Pacino's big speech that he would give. Yeah. That used to be like a wee ritual I'd have had. It was the last thing I'd listen to before a home game. I would get in the car and drive up. So I'd always have to listen to Al Pacino give me his team talk before I'd go.
I like that. That's cool. So would that be your like pre-match ritual, like your superstition or anything?
It was part of it. I was quite a superstitious routine sort of bloke. Morning of games, stay away, leave me to it. I've got to hit this target. Training was the same. Warm up was the same. I just had a routine that worked for me, and it was pretty regimented. Fair play, my wife did understand that, and then whenever we had kids, she was quite known to the fact that she had to get that kids out of the house on Saturday morning. So, but my kids were a lot younger then. Now they actually go to play football and rugby themselves. Yeah. So I would have went and watched them pre-game. So, but yeah.
Fair enough. So none of the crazy superstitions, like, has to be those pair of boxers or.
Oh no! Oh no! I had a towel. I actually had a towel, a Ferrari towel that I bought when I went to school when I was 11 years of age, and it made it to every single game I ever played in my entire life. Now, it was a rag by the end. It was a black Ferrari towel, and it was holes in it. But it made it to my final game at Twickenham in 2020. So I had it since I was 11 years of age, and that thing came with me. Now, it wasn't being used because it was just falling apart. Do you know what the scary thing is now? I don't have it, and it's probably my wife's probably thrown it in the bin.
Probably just, but I've not seen it. Doesn't need that anymore.
It's not in my memorabilia, and I'd like to have kept that, but that was one thing.
what is your go-to? I'll put food cuisine, but like style of food.
Pre-game,
Post game in life, just in general,
uh,
wherever.
anything to do with potatoes, so chips, mash, whatever.
Yeah,
That's a
I've good,
go-to.
good.
Since I retired, I always make sure on a Friday night I've got some kind of chips, something with chips, whatever.
Something with
Doesn't
chips. I
matter.
like that. That's a very
Yeah.
good choice. Right. So you and the boys, big win. What are you drinking?
Well, I can tell you every time we play here at Sandy Park, since I've joined the coaching group, we always have a nice little shot of whiskey after every game just to go, there we go, well done. So
Nice.
I'd say that is something that we do in the coaching group. What I would have after every game would be a pint of Guinness.
Of course, that's classic. It's so,
there's the born Irishman in me.
that's not boring. It was the best answer.
A nice pint of Guinness.
But does it travel well?
Well, the bar we have down in Exeter, the Irish bar, the standoff, which we between me and two others opened. I was very quick to go. If we're doing this, it has to serve the best pint of Guinness in the Southwest. And I would go as far to say, I'm going to throw it out there and say it is.
There you go. I mean, I'll need to come down and try it.
Well, there's only one way to find these things out. I can tell you for a fact that it tastes better on the fourth one than it does on the first one.
Just at the standoff, or just everywhere?
In general, you got to try for it.
I'm going to try it. But I'm all good for having more than one Guinness. I'm
see, that's the Irishman in me. You've got to try for it and know exactly. You get a sample, don't you?
There we go. So this is actually a fan question as well. So I'll give them credit. Ollie Champs asked, away from rugby, what's your favourite sport?
Well, if this is Ollie Champs, who I think I know that guy is, it's golf. Because if it's Ollie Champion, or if it may not be the same person.
Might not be the same.
If it is, golf, massively get into golf. I've taken my boys back to watch the Open. Nice. They love a bit of golf as well. It's quite nice. I enjoy golf because it's competitive, but it's competitive against myself, so it reminds me of my kicking. And it's something that I want to try to. And I can play it with my kids. My kids are 10 and 9 years of age, and we can have a competitive game. Whereas I can't really play football with them because they beat me. And it's like I can go out and actually have a proper, because of the handicap system and everything's great. So yeah, golf is definitely up there.
Nice. Where is your dream holiday destination? You could have been there before. You might still want to go on the bucket list.
I'd love to go out to New York and stuff like that. I've only been to America once. It was from a honeymoon. We went out to Florida for a week and did all the theme parks, and then we went to Miami for a week, so that was lovely. It's the only time. So anywhere in the States, obviously you watch TV of the States and stuff. I'd love to go and see New York. I'd love to see New York around Christmas time. I think that'd be great.
Just go on the same flight, because my missus wants to do that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
We just got to work out where we're flying from. I don't think they fly from Exeter. I know they don't.
Yeah, they definitely fly from Edinburgh.
Well, I've got to get up there. I've got to go up to go across. But yeah, New York and stuff, I'd love to see that sort of thing.
It would be nice. It would definitely be nice to say that you've done it as well.
Absolutely.
You don't even have to enjoy it. You don't have to tell people that part. If you don't enjoy it, I've done it. It's all good. Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah. Favorite pizza topping? I know we've done food, but pizza topping.
Anything with meat. Just meat feast.
Good.
Yeah.
Pineapple.
Pure meat feast. My youngest boy loves the pineapple, but he's the only one in the house who likes the Hawaiian one. I'm not right. It's not like I've no problem with it. But we've got the old, the pizza oven thing. So when it comes to making those, I was like, you just make your one, and we just pile the other one. Me and the other fella will put a load of meat on. So
quite right. I like that. Well, I'm going to ask you something that Nick White told me to try, and I've still not tried it because just the thought of it sounds really off-putting. So it was about pizza, like pineapple pizza. He said, yeah, absolutely. But then he doubled down on it and said, put a pineapple ring on a burger?
I've seen that before. That's very tropical now for a
This
burger.
sounds really strange.
Well, it would lead to Whitey's character that it's just trying to do something like that. No, well, I would quite happily put it on, take it off, set it to the side, eat it on its own. It's the same whenever you suppose you have ham, egg, and chips. You always tend to get the little bit of pineapple on there as well. It's not that I would eat the pineapple with the ham, so I would just take it to the side. It'd be quite nice to have it'd be quite refreshing to have it on with a burger, I'd say.
I think Nick even said like to grill it with the burger and then eat it all together. I don't know. I'm still not.
Must be an Australian thing. It probably is. I would say it is. We haven't copped onto it up here in the Northern Hemisphere.
Not yet, no.
Mind you, I don't remember him ever ordering pineapple with his burger when he was over here, like so.
See, he's a fraud. He's made it up.
It must be just. It's purely Australian.
Purely Australian. Final question for you today, Gareth. One thing, just in life, you'd like to be remembered for?
Someone who, just a good bloke who people like to be around and have a good time, and keep it simple as best as possible. Yeah, good bloke who just want to enjoy life and enjoy a bit of fun and enjoy good times, and someone who was driven to success.
I love all of that. I mean, yeah, good bloke. From when I spoke to you up in Glasgow from our conversation today, you do seem like you're having just a lot of fun coaching down at Exeter, having fun with playing golf with the boys, owning a restaurant, having fun. Yeah.
Try to smile. Remember, enjoyment, as Hawani Tui used to say. Enjoyment, lads. Enjoyment.
Enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Wow. The book is now closed because you've absolutely smashed it. And I cannot thank you enough for agreeing to come on.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been good to have a chat with you, Murray.
You're welcome anytime. And obviously all the best for the remainder of the season. Hopefully get some nice silverware, or definitely in contention of silverware for sure. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. But I'll keep my eye out on the up-and-comers.
Yes, you have to let me know now. You have to let me know what you think.
I will do.
You know, I'm not going to put you on the spot now, but you have to let me know what you think.
I will let you know after we've done recording, so I don't have somebody else. But this has been the final whistle with Gareth Steenson, and we will see you next time.